2, 1, live.
Good afternoon. Recognizing a quorum of commissioners, I call the October 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Cannabis Control Commission to order. The meeting is being held virtual pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022 and is being recorded. Commissioners Camargo, Roy, and myself, Commissioner Stebbins, are participating in today's meeting. All votes taken today will be by roll call. I will generally summarize our agenda today. Our single commission discussion and vote agenda item is provisionally approved license fee extension, discussion, and vote. I will ask that commissioners wishing to comment or to ask questions during any part of the meeting raise their hands so they can be recognized. So I want to thank my colleagues and of course our entire team for working so diligently on this topic. Our outreach and communication to those affected applicants over the past few months, and our goal today of resolving their status and a path forward. Certainly appreciate the collaboration and work of our team to hold this meeting one so quickly after our meeting on last Friday. Work behind the scenes by our team is certainly valued and greatly appreciated. This one topic, obviously today, I hope we can come out of here with a workable path forward for these applicants, as well as make sure the commission is held to our statutory and regulatory authority and obligations, especially in light of new compliance requirements as a result of the changes provided by Chapter 180. I also want to thank my colleagues, Commissioner Camargo, Commissioner Roy. I know how actively engaged you have been with our team to discuss this important topic. I know this agenda item has been sponsored by Commissioner Camargo, but I'm first going to turn to our acting general counsel, who I know has been engaging with our staff and commissioners, and invite him to kind of take the lead in opening our discussion. So, acting general counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to give a brief overview and then of the issue and then turn it over to the commissioners. So on July 30th, 2024, the commission issued a bulletin on its enforcement page to any applicant that received a provisional license approval and has not paid the applicable license fee within 90 days will receive a notice of expiration of the provisional approval pursuant to 935 CMR 500, 103 sub 1E or 1D. On August 5th of 2024, the commission began sending notices to the identified entities pursuant to the regulations, informing them that their provisional approval had expired due to non-payment of licensing fees within 90 days. At the September 12th, 2024 meeting, the commissioners requested that staff establish contact with the pool of entities to gauge interest in reestablishing their provisional license approval. As was discussed, some application approvals are many years old, and by and large, the commission has not heard from these entities as it relates to their non-payment. The date of approval of issuance does go back several years for some. So 1 from 2019, 15 from 2020, 24 from 2021, 46 from 2022, excuse me, I have my numbers backwards. 46 from 2022, 26 from 2023, and 8 for 2024. On September 20th.
Acting General Counsel, could you go through, you went through those numbers pretty quick, and I know we've had a slide for these in the past, but because of the quick turnaround to organize this meeting, could you go through those numbers again?
Sure, absolutely. And if I apologize for talking too fast. So the dates of the license approval, their issuance, we have 1 from 2019, 15 from 2020, 24 from 2021, 46 from 2022, 26 from 2023, and 8 from 2024.
Thank you.
So, perfect. So on September 23rd, 2024, an email was sent pursuant to the Commissioner's directive from the September 12th meeting. As of October 1, 2024, the Commission has received 20 responses out of the 120 applicants. Among the 20, 10 entities are social equity program participants and 2 are economic empowerment applicants. I would note that 3 of the social equity program participants received their designation after their application approval. Additionally, there are 5 applicants that hold other licenses. So the commissioners may wish to consider, as a matter of policy, whether how best to weigh in on this item. After consultation with the Investigations and Enforcement Department, the Government Affairs and Policy Department, the Commission may consider granting expedited review for the pool of entities whose non-payment of the provisional licensing fee led to the expiration of their approval. There is precedent for this approach, most recently with the Commission approving expedited review for island applicants this spring. The Commission could direct the licensing staff to assign expedited review for previously approved provisional license applications whose approval expired due to non-payment to submit their provisional license payment and resubmit their application within 60 days. Licensing staff will review to ensure the license applicant is compliant with statutory and regulatory obligations, including but not limited to license cap limitations, host community agreements, suitability, etc. If the license applicant complies with all of the requirements under 935 CMR 500 or 935 CMR 500-501, the Chief of Investigations shall issue a provisional license. So with that overview, I'm happy to turn it over to Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Acting General Counsel. Commissioner Roy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Acting General Counsel Carter. Could you define resubmit their application? Can you please explain what that means?
Yes, so as I understand it, it would be to ensure that all of the information contained in the application is up to date. So all of the requirements that are outlined in the 100 series under the regulations.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. So I've been asked this question by stakeholders. Does this mean folks are starting from scratch? So they have to reapply?
Yes, they would need to resubmit their application.
Acting General Counsel, and I know you're not the keeper of the data or the keeper of an application or material that we may already have contained within Mass CIP, but is it as simple as uploading all the information they might have previously given us? And obviously we now know we have some new compliance requirements, right? We need a compliant HCA because of the passage of Chapter 180. If they haven't changed their location, if all the parties are still the same parties, is that information that we have available already through Mass CIP and it needs to be reactivated or formally kind of resubmitted, I think, to follow up on Commissioner Roy's question.
Yes, so ultimately, defer to the licensing team, but if the application is up to date, then my understanding is yes, it would be as simple as just a resubmission. If things haven't changed, it's my understanding that they would be able to use the same application.
Okay. And obviously, oh, go ahead, Commissioner Roy.
If the documents are there, isn't that a redundancy? The documents are already living and breathing in Mass CIP. So now we're asking them to complete the same exercise if nothing's changed.
Is that a question?
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Yes, they would need to resubmit.
Go ahead, Commissioner Roy.
Acting General Counsel, my concern is that it's been brought to my attention from outside counsel that represent clients that there have been late payments in the past because the current portal we have has, I don't want to use the word deficiencies, but maybe deficiencies, and folks were able to go in and make payments and with no negative repercussion, late payments. How is this equitable to this pool? And this is an outside attorney saying that their clients have done this. And so how is this equitable to this pool?
I would suggest that's for the board to weigh the outcome.
I don't think it is.
Commissioner Camargo.
I don't have too many thoughts right now, Commissioner Stebbins. I've read the memo. I understand the situation that we're in. I understand the deficiencies that we might have had that were now corrected. This is a sort of a, I would say it looks like it's the best balance for the 120 applicants that are part of this process, and that it also allows people to resubmit their application if nothing's changed and nothing's changed, and they have 60 days to do so. So I think it's a fair balance. You know, we noticed the deficiency and we went back and figured it out. And Commissioner Roy, I hear you. And, you know, I think that was that, and we're now moving forward with this pool. At the end of the day, applicants had 90 days per the regulations to make their payments. And for the last 4 years, as we saw in the numbers, many folks did not do that. So those are my thoughts, Commissioner Stebbins, if you were calling on me for comments.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Again, and appreciate your comments, Commissioner Roy. Again, for me, you know, we're trying to, for me, what I hope we can do is find a way to chart a path forward for this pool of applicants. And And obviously, we don't know the full intention or decision by individuals that were granted a provisional license and chose not to pursue the next steps in the licensing process. But we do know there was a pool of 120 out there, obviously focused equally as much on the 10 responses we got from folks who are in the SEP and EE category, and just trying to find a workable solution. Now, obviously, since many of them probably went through the provisional process, they might have pursued other licenses. They might be party to other licenses. We're mindful of the license cap limitations and ownership guidelines. And we certainly understand that with the changes in Chapter 180, anybody stepping forward needs to have a compliant HCA. So there is some work to do on behalf of the folks that are in this pool. But, the suggestion of giving them 60 days to try to update and resubmit their application. And again, if all the information is the same with some of the topics that I just mentioned that I would expect would require some updating, I think it's a clear and workable path forward. And we're talking about a smaller pool of folks, right? The ones that have responded, the ones who continue to give us updated contact information so that we'd be able to reach them. I think just for clarification from the acting general counsel, the notice that went out on 9/23, excuse me, gave them until October 3rd to respond. So there is a chance that a few more folks may respond by the deadline close of business tomorrow.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Roy?
Thank you, Chair. My concern is, and I appreciate the 60 days, but for the 10 that are SEP and the 2 that are EEA, that we all understand the challenges that folks face in this industry, in this space. And we always say the biggest one is access to capital. We all can agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we've heard, the Social Equity Trust Fund is a lifeline to whether or not folks can even continue in this space. And the difference is dramatic for someone that doesn't have, I'm going to use good standing for lack of a better term, that doesn't have their provisional and good standing means hundreds of thousands of dollars that they can't apply for. So if they are in the status they currently are, they can only apply for tier 1, which is $25,000 versus tier 2 and 3 and 4, which goes up to $250,000, or tier 3, $250,000, which can be highly impactful and a game changer. So my concern is that the 10 SEP and the 2 EEA will be precluded from applying to higher than tier 1, the Social Equity Trust Fund, because of their status. And they might not be here to even apply to resubmit all of these documents. They might not survive this. So I didn't know if there was a creative way for this 10 SCP and the 2 EEA to be able to get into good standing prior to the 17th, October 17th, which is the Social Equity Trust Fund window closes in that day. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think this is impactful enough to help this cohort. I think 60 days, they lose their window and they might lose their ability to continue. Now the other 8, fine, 60 days is fine because they're not applying for this.
Right.
It's these 12.
Yeah, And Commissioner, it's a point extremely well taken. We're all as excited as we are about the social equity fund and what the current round potentially has to offer our applicants. I do think it's important to keep in mind we had an enforcement bulletin that reminded folks about their need to pay that went out on July 30th. As I understand it, and acting general counsel, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, there wasn't much, if any, response to that. And again, we took the extra steps of following up on 9/12, sending out an email that went out on 9/23. We know this is the second round of funding. I don't know how many of folks of these 10 might have qualified for the first round, but I hear you in terms of wanting to make sure they qualify for this round. I guess my only suggestion is we don't control the fund. We do not know how the folks at EOED will look at any application that comes through their door. I think what we control is how we can resolve this situation in a suitable amount of time for the folks that are in this impacted group. But your point is very well taken. I'm just trying to think of what can we do as a team going forward to help resolve the status for these folks, bring them into compliance, as well as make sure that we have all the information we need, including a new compliant HCA, so that we can fulfill our obligations to make sure that everybody's meeting the regulatory requirements. Yes, go ahead, Commissioner. Roy.
So,
sorry.
Thank you. So we do know, because the notice of funding availability, the NOFA, expressly states, and I know we don't control how the funds are awarded. I realize that, but I'm just saying that the tiers, they're precluded based on their status from applying other than tier 1, which is 25,000. So tier 1 is an industry support and the maximum grant is 25,000. And the eligible applicants are pre-licensed cannabis businesses defined as a duly organized business entity in good standing and located in Massachusetts with majority ownership comprised of individuals that are economic empowerment priority applicants or social equity program participants without a provisional or final license from the CCC. So that's their caps. So with a provisional, you can, tier 2 is 50,000, tier 3 is 250,000. So these 12 applicants, because I know they don't have a license, are at this phase, because if they remain in an applicant phase, they're limited to apply for a $25,000 grant.
I hear you, and again, to reiterate the point, and you raised it as well, we don't control the fund. If you look further down into the NOFA, and again, I don't want to, I'm reluctant to tread into another agency's program, but there is certainly evaluation criteria that EOED considers when they evaluate tier 1 and tier 2 applicants and tier 3 and tier 4 applicants. Commissioner Camargo?
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Roy, thank you for those comments, and Commissioner Stebbins. I know that we do have a motion in front of us, and I don't know if it would be helpful to read the motion, Commissioner Stebbins, so that we are all hearing it and seeing it, and sort of think about that motion, really. And I know that this is, we're in a tough situation, Commissioner Roy, and trust me, I know, I think we all know. But the reality of it here is that this is probably the best path forward. That does allow people to even within the 120. And we know that there are some SCPs and EEAs in the mix. And coincidentally, the fund opened up last week, right? So this is all sort of timely, which is why on Friday when we met, we asked to quickly have this meeting, right? This is why we're here today, to sort of find this path forward. So for me, I think that, I read the memo, I'm seeing the language. I think it's, again, the best balance for this 120 pool. And it also allows those SCPs or EEAs who may be interested, because we can't assume, we don't know, that all of them may be interested in applying for the fund. I think 120 of these folks had any opportunity at any point to reach out to the commission and or to pay their fees within 90 days. And as we look at the numbers for 219, 220, 221, 222, 223, and 224, that's what the pool looks like. So we don't know what we don't know with these folks. What we do know is as of today, only 20 people have replied. So again, I think it's the balance for us to move forward. And, if we weren't here today, then we wouldn't be doing something about it, but we're here. So I don't know if reading the language for the motion could be helpful for us.
Acting General Counsel, do you want to read the prepared motion, or I am happy to do it? Doesn't matter.
I'm happy to defer to the chairman.
Okay. The draft motion that's been provided by our legal team reads as such: move to direct the licensing staff to assign expedited review for previously approved provisional license applicants that responded to the Commission's September 23rd, 2024 email, who submit their provisional license payment and resubmit their application by December 3rd, 2024. If the license applicant complies with all the requirements of 935 CMR 500.000 or 935 CMR 501.000, the Chief of Investigations and Enforcement shall issue a provisional license. Obviously, this is hopefully in another way kind of speeding up the process, that if the Chief of Investigations and Enforcement sees that the provisional license is in compliance with the regs, they will have the ability for this group to issue a provisional license, hopefully therefore expediting the process even a little more, since it wouldn't need to come back before this full commission at a public meeting. But that's the motion. Acting General Counsel, I don't know if you want to cut and paste that and put it into the chat so my colleagues can see it. Commissioner Roy, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question about the fees. So that they pay their provisional fee, and not the folks where I know application fees are waived for certain populations, but for the others, do they have to now then pay another application fee?
Acting General Counsel.
My understanding is no. But I would welcome the licensing team to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is a resubmission.
Okay, I don't see anybody from the licensing team in our meeting. Go ahead, Commissioner. You have another Commissioner Roy, you have another question?
I do, for the licensing team.
Sure. Okay.
Commissioner Stubbins?
Yeah, Commissioner Camargo.
Yeah, Commissioner Roy, can you restate the question?
Sure. My question was based on the motion language. Let's see, who submit their provisional license payment and resubmit their application. So my question was, in addition to the provisional license payment, do the folks who are not eligible for the application fee waiver, do they have to pay another application fee?
Okay, I'll let our team answer that. I mean, I know how I'm reading it, but I will let our team answer that.
Andrew said he doesn't think so.
That's my understanding, Commissioner, yes. But if
Okay,
you would
so-
like to add some express language to the motion, and I apologize about the horn. If you'd like to add some express language to the motion, we certainly could do that.
Commissioner Roy?
So I do have a question for licensing. So I don't know if acting general counsel can,
I think
I don't know who can answer.
I think our director of licensing has joined us.
Okay.
Olivia, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Could you please repeat the question, because I was jumping off the link?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I actually haven't even asked it. Well, I have two questions. So the first question, thank you, Director Cole, is that based on the motion language, it's not clear if they would have to also resubmit an application fee again with their resubmission. So I understand they have to, you know, come in a good standing with a provisional license payment, but are they required for those that aren't SCP, EEA, DEB, DB, do the other folks need to also pay again for an application fee?
So that would be a decision for you all to make, a policy decision.
Okay, and my other question, if I may, Chair?
Of course.
Okay, Director Koval. So based on this motion language, today we find ourselves, it's October 2nd. And the window for the fund closes on the 17th. Can you envision a scenario where, based on the term expedited review, that if these folks, were able to get this resubmission done, let's say today, pay their fee, would they be able to get turnaround so they could still apply before the deadline on the 17th? In other words, if they did their due diligence, got everything in, are we able to turn around and say HCAs are complicated now, they applied for a waiver, or like most, I mean, I'm sorry, extension like most folks are doing. Is there a scenario where we can accomplish everything and not to put pressure on you, I just want your thoughts.
Again, it's hard to say. I honestly can't really answer that unless we get a compliant right off the bat submission. But otherwise, there are many factors, so I can't really say.
Commissioner Camargo, Commissioner Roy,
Yeah.
do you have anything else?
Oh.
No, I'm good right now. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Camargo.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Within the fund, there's different tiers, and we've talked about it a little bit before, that the folks in this pool will still be able to apply for that first tier. The second, third, and fourth, they probably won't be able to unless they can get all their stuff together in the next few days before the 17th. And again, we don't work for the fund. We don't know exactly what, you know, their process is. I know they have that document they put out. They're having I think they had a webinar yesterday, but folks will be able to apply. And, you know, this may sound a little harsh, but, you know, again, these applications are almost 4 and 5 years old. There's 8 folks that expired this year. There's 26 people that expired in 2023. There's 46 people who expired in 2022. There's 24 people who expired in 2021. There's 15 people who expired in 2020, and there's 1 person who expired in 2019. So I know, again, we're in a difficult situation, but we're talking about 120 people. And who knows, folks, we may hear from more people now that this gets out today and tomorrow. But as of right now, we're talking about 20 folks. And I don't even know if some of those folks have multiple applications. But this is 120 people, 20 people have 120 licensees, 120 people have responded, and 10 of them fit into the universe of SCP-EEA, which we have no idea what any of these folks' situations are exactly, but it will allow them to apply for that first tier. Commissioner Roy, I think to your question and point, which is well taken, in terms of like how quickly can we turn this around? I'll put it back on the licensees. How quick can they turn it around, right? Can they get all their stuff together and get it compliant to submit to us for us to approve, for them to then try to get tier 2 or 3. But if folks haven't done this in 2 or 3 years, you know, who knows how quickly they can turn it around. So again, I think it's a good balance and a good path forward. And we hope not to be in this predicament again. I know that there's been some controls that have been put in place. But I'm willing to move forward with this. We're not going to make everyone happy, but I think we've found a solution for this pocket of licensees.
Commissioner Roy, I wanted to come back to your point. I think, never mind, our AGC has dropped some new language into the chat for a motion, which Commissioner Roy might need, which might speak to your point that the end of that language is the applicant shall not be responsible for another application fee. Commissioner Roy, go ahead.
I have another thought.
Of course.
That we might work in, which is, I see that it says expedited review. And that would account for the 20 responses, but I'm wondering if there's if we can put that if they're EEA or SCP. In other words, we might get 20 and 8 of them are not, so they don't have to worry about the trust fund deadline. I'm wondering if we can heighten the prioritization of SCP EEA out of that pool of 20.
So if out of the 20, let's say just hypothetically 20 folks out of the group of 120 decide to pursue, and by the way, SCPs, EEAs are always expedited or priority review. So I think that would answer your question.
Yes and no. Outdoor cultivation is a priority review, and they might not be an SCP or an EEA.
Commissioner Stebbins, may I?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Carnell.
Commissioner Roy, what are you trying to do?
Trying to make sure if all 20 submit everything over the next couple of days, that the SCPs and the EEAs of this provisional batch are moved accordingly to the front, so they can be have a possibility to apply for the before the October 17th deadline.
Got it. So I think, like we all know, that everyone is expedited, but here's the thing,
No, everyone is not expedited.
No, I'm sorry. All the SCPs and EEAs are expedited. So I just want to understand what you're kind of saying or trying to do is, we have 20 people out of this pool that again, we don't know what they're going to do. We're creating a path for them. Then they're going to decide whether they move forward or not. Some of these folks may not want to continue the business, or 3 or 4 of them may want to. But what you're saying is trying to create another path for these 20 folks to be expedited in the next, let's say in the next week, for example, to make the deadline for October 17th for the fund. For a tier 2 or a tier 3 is really what your concern is, because they will be able to apply for that tier 1. But what you're trying to kind of support is whoever ends up in that tier 2 or 3.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. It's a hard situation. It's a hard situation. And I think that there's other SCPs and EEAs right now in the queue as well that have put their paperwork in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, waiting to get on the agenda for October. And this pool of 120 people, including those 20 SCPs or EEAs,
Well,
per our regulations, did not make their payment for provisional license, and it's been a few years. So we got to be mindful of that as well, because technically anyone in this pool of 120 people could have sent an email, reached out to us and said, hey, I've been expired. What can I do? X, Y, and Z. So I get it, Commissioner Roy, and I think the community will appreciate your advocacy for SCPs and EEAs, as we all do, and we're all equity fighters here. But I think for this situation, again, it's the most balanced pathway forward. And I think that the SCPs or EEAs in this pocket of 20 are going to have to hustle if they want to apply for that tier 2 or tier 3, which, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but, that's a lot to do really quickly if you haven't done it in a few years. And of course, access to capital is huge. And we know that this is a big deal, but, at the end of the day, they will be able to apply. Where these awards are going to be done at the end of the year. And then the fund's going to open up again next year. So I hear you, Commissioner Roy, and I appreciate your efforts.
Sorry, I'm just taking an opportunity to reread through the motion. Sorry. Commissioner Roy, did you have your hand up?
yeah, I was just looking for a clause to be added. Move to direct the licensing staff to assign expedited review, prioritizing EEA and SCP, for previously approved provisional license applicants that responded to the Commission's September 23rd, 2024 email.
They already are, though. Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Camargo?
No, I was going to say they already are. I mean, we can add it, but they're already expedited, no?
But there's other ones that, like outdoor cultivate, there are other areas that get expedited review.
I see what you're saying. Commissioner Roy. I see what you're saying.
Go ahead, Commissioner Camargo.
No. I was just kind of thinking what Commissioner Roy was just saying right now. So move to direct the licensing staff to assign expedited review. So this is for 120 licensees right now, as it reads.
Well, 20.
No, clarity. It's for the people who are going to respond to our email from September 23rd, 2024. That went out to a pool of 120.
20, yes.
But the deadline close of business tomorrow. Right now, we've heard from 20.
Correct. I'm sorry. Yep. Correct. Okay.
Oh, Andrew's got new language.
Commissioner Roy, please correct me if I didn't capture everything.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Thank you, Andrew.
My pleasure.
Can I ask a question?
Of course, go ahead, Commissioner Camargo.
How does this impact those? And again, this is the hard part with this, is that we don't know who's gonna even take us up on this offer. Right, we're doing all this and we don't know who's gonna move forward on this, but I just want to make sure that the people that are in the queue right now, SEP and EEAs, don't get stomped on because they've done their work and they've put their paperwork in and they've been waiting for the last 2, 3, 4 months. These folks that have replied had an opportunity a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and did not make their payments per our regs. So I just want to make sure that we're also being mindful of those in the queue right now and our staff. And I know the capacity is crazy right now. And our next meeting is on the 12th of this month, I believe. And the fund closes on the 17th. So there's folks who are trying to get approved at the next public meeting to also be able to apply for that fund. And then there's this pool that, you know, shoulda, coulda, would've as well. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we're moving all the SCPs and EEAs forward in this process in the next month. So as long as we understand that as a team and as staff, then that's okay. But, you know, this is, again, this is a balance.
In reading this language, and Commissioner Camargo, to your point, I am a couple things. I am a little reluctant for folks, and again, I appreciate Commissioner Roy's goals, and I think it's all of our goals, right? We want to find a way to resolve this situation, and 2, do the best we can to review those updated and resubmitted applications so that folks will have an opportunity to access the Social Equity Trust Fund, if that's their intention or if that's their goal, or maybe it's just to move forward. I'm a little reluctant to necessarily prioritize one group of social equity program participants or EE applicants over another group of social equity program or EE applicants. So I'm a little uncomfortable with this language, but appreciate the intention. I think what might be something else for us to consider is that after close of business tomorrow, and we have an idea of who the population is out of this group that would qualify as SEP or EE, that we could transmit a letter or a memo to the folks at EOED explaining who this group is, who this population of applicants could potentially be, and how the commission is handling it. And again, the fund is outside of our control, but to at least let them know what activities we've undertaken to try to potentially increase the pool of candidates that would want to apply for the Social Equity Trust Fund this time around. Commissioner Roy, I think you had your hand up first, and then Commissioner Camargo.
Just 2 points, Chair. So when we say prioritizing, what does that mean?
Well, that was the language you offered, right?
No, that was the language from the first draft. So what does that mean? Prioritizing means one before the other. I'm just curious what.
No, it's
does that mean?
expedited. I'm sorry, I'm jumping in
Yeah,
here.
the original language said expedited. Prioritize was just added.
You realize there's been instances where folks have paid late and have been renewed. Very late. So we're on tricky ground here. And
Commissioner Camargo?
Yeah, Commissioner, I think you were done, right?
yes, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Stebbins, I like the idea of sending a letter to EOED, HD. I forget the acronyms right now, but I like that idea. And I guess my question is, would we be able, when we vote on this, hopefully we vote on this today, can we get that letter out, you know, by tomorrow morning?
Well, my recommendation is any communication would have to go out after the deadline for people to respond, which I think is close of business tomorrow.
That's right. I'm sorry. That's what I meant. Yes, thank you. Okay. I actually like that idea because we're giving them a heads up of this group, and it also allows us to, you know, whoever those 20 folks are, put the message out to them as well. So, okay, thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, so it sounds like we should probably, I don't know if you want to reread the original motion.
Yeah,
On
and
this.
what I would suggest, and happy to entertain this additional language, if we want to make it a part of the motion. If our AGC is with us, he could maybe help me, but you know, there's current draft motion, couple of updated versions of a draft motion. They all end with the applicant shall not be responsible for another application fee. Commission staff are directed to provide a list of social equity program participants and economic empowerment applicants who have responded to the commission by the October 3rd deadline to appropriate staff at the Executive Office of Economic Development. I think that's what they're still called.
Commissioner Stebbins?
Commissioner Camargo, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to, I know we added, the applicant shall not be responsible for another application fee. That's a big deal. And we know that this is a one-time situation because we've put some controls in place. So I think that, you know, when we talk about flexibility and making sure that folks are staying in this industry and are part of this industry, whether 20 people that have replied or 30 end up replying by tomorrow afternoon, for a lot of folks, the waiving of the application fee is a big deal. So I commend us if we're going to add that on there. It will allow folks maybe to relive their application and or for those 20 folks that may be interested, that are not SCPs or EEAs to not have to pay an application fee. So again, that's a great situation and a great balance in order for us to move forward with this one-time situation, and continue to, you know, continue to move these folks throughout the process.
Thank you, Acting General Counsel. We've dropped in a new version of the motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Of course.
Yes, so based on your feedback, I added a sentence: commission staff shall provide notice to the Executive Office of Economic Development of the applicants who have responded to the commission, to the September 23rd, 2024 commission email.
Acting General Counsel, obviously it might just be responsibility of staff to pull the communication together, but I think whatever background we can provide about the applicants and the steps that I hope we can take today might be good additional further background for the executive office's information. I don't think we need to include that in the motion, but Commissioner Roy?
I would like to add back prioritizing social equity program participants and economic empowerment applicants, because expedited applicant can mean a micro business, a craft cooperative, an independent testing lab, an outdoor marijuana cultivator. In light of the timelines and the unique situation we find ourselves in, I'm not comfortable moving forward without it.
Acting General Counsel, you want to update that draft motion language?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stubbins?
Commissioner Camargo?
Yeah, thank you. Can I don't know if Olivia or anybody from our team is on here, but can I just get a understanding of the impact on current SEPs or EEAs that are on the queue and trying to get expedited as well for the October 12 agenda? And Commissioner Roy, your point is well taken. I just want to make sure that we're not, helping one group, we're not bumping another group.
Yep.
Because one group had 4 years to sort of figure this stuff out, unfortunately, and I get it. And then one group has been hustling to get on the agenda on October 12th. So I just want to make sure that, one good deed doesn't, ruin another one.
All right, I think we need to wait for Olivia to jump back in and join us.
It looks good overall.
Director Cole, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. So could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, Olivia, thank you for jumping back on. So
Was it Commissioner Roy's question or your question, Commissioner Camargo? I'm sorry.
it was mine.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Olivia, so we're Commissioner Roy wanted to make sure that we added the within the language of the motion, move to direct the licensing staff to assign expedited review, prioritizing social equity program participants and economic empowerment applicants for previously approved provisional license applicants that respond to the Commission September 23rd email. I just want to make sure that absolutely we should try to do everything that we can, right? But there's also other people in the queue. So I just want to make sure that that doesn't impact the folks that are in the queue right now that have been waiting the last few months to get on our agenda. And then the pool of 10 folks right now that have replied saying, hey, yeah, I'm possibly interested. I just want to make sure that in terms of staff capacity and all that, that one group doesn't get bumped over the other.
May I, Chair? Just
Let
thank
Olivia,
you.
when Commissioner, hold on,
Okay.
let Olivia
Okay.
reply to Commissioner Camargo's question and then you can raise your point.
So we have other SEPs in queue, so we would definitely need to make sure that they are not bumped out of line due to this. So we would have to adjust accordingly depending on what the motion is today.
Okay.
Commissioner Roy, go ahead.
So I'm a little confused because we have the draft agenda from Matt. And so the provisionals are already on there for the 10th. They're already up. Are we planning to add more provisionals for the 10th?
Not for the 10th, no, but there are
That's the
already.
question. Yeah.
Gotcha. So for the 10th, yeah, it's the deadline has passed for adding
Yes.
things.
So they're already up there, Commissioner Camargo.
Okay, good. But is there, Olivia, is there, Commissioner, if I may, Commissioner Stebbins?
Of course.
Yeah, Olivia, is there any other, because I know, okay, so thank you for bringing that to the forefront, Commissioner Roy, I appreciate that. The folks that are gonna be on the agenda for the next meeting, they're already on there, but there are other folks in the queue as well, because I know you guys are already working on next month's agenda,
Correct.
right? So I want to make sure that doesn't get impacted either. You feel me?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's exactly, yeah, what when I initially responded, I was responding to that part that we have already SCPs that are in the queue being reviewed, and we would have to ensure, we continue with that process.
Exactly, because I get it. Even though people see the agenda and that it's out there and provisional license are out there, we're already working for November's agenda, right? So I just, this is a race. Everyone's trying to, get through this process. So I just want to make sure. But okay, I'm comfortable with that as long as staff knows that, and you all know that, and you guys can figure it out in terms of your capacity, then I'm okay with that. And I hope and pray that whoever these 20 licensees that have replied and the SEPs and EEAs, that they can take advantage of this process that our team and us as commissioners have worked really hard to try to figure out and balance for, the greater good and for folks to find a path forward. So thank you, Olivia.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy, for your comments as well.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Sorry, I'm just reading the updated version of the motion. Director Cole, if you're still with us, I have a quick question or request or ask of you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I also think it would be helpful to this body to include you in public meeting agendas to give us an update on you and your team's work on this project and helping us understand how many folks did we end up hearing by the deadline tomorrow, and any status that you want to provide on the folks going through the review.
Okay.
So not to give you more homework, but I think that'd be helpful for us. Commissioner Roy.
And just to piggyback on that, Chair, if we could, if any of them do receive their provisional license from the chief of I&E, that we're also notified when that happens.
Yeah.
And if I may take this time just to thank Chief
Sure.
Kamala and her team, because I know how hard they've been working, not only on this, but everything holistically when it comes to I&E and licensing. I know they worked really hard to address some areas that, you know, we're no longer a startup and we need to adjust accordingly. And I know how hard not only Chief Kamalo, but her team have been working. And I just want to take this moment to acknowledge that publicly and to thank them.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy. And without repeating you verbatim, I'll just say ditto. Thanks to the team for this work. Obviously, I'm happy that we're probably moving towards being able to direct a path forward for these applicants, resolve this one-time instance in a way that we hope can be fair and equitable to everybody involved in the process. And folks who, as Commissioner Camargo pointed out, are, you know, in this category and are also pursuing, you know, their own license path forward. You know, the intention here is to resolve this, give a path forward. It's kind of a perfect storm that we also have the availability of the Social Equity Trust Fund grant round coming up at the same time. But we're trying to resolve this in a way that we can control, in a way that we can process and operate, and resolving this situation of these provisional applicants once and for all. Any other comments, or Commissioner Roy, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And I appreciate Commissioner Camargo's observations and comments about not one good deed causing an impact on another. And I think, you know, we can accomplish both things and not hurt those folks, but also within this pool is what I'm saying, to prioritize the social equity program participants and economic empowerment applications within this pool. So I would like to reinsert that language because other folks are also qualified for expedited review by our regulation that could be in this pool. So that's why I feel it's necessary.
Point well taken. And right now, as we sit here today, there are 10 potential applicants that we're aware of who would qualify as SEP or EE.
12.
Is it 12?
And SEP, 2 EEA, and I don't know if they're overlap. I don't know. They could be. But the letter, the memo read 10 SCP, 2 EEA. Mm-hmm.
If I may,
Commissioner Camargo?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Roy, thank you for clarifying that. We're talking about a lot of motion language and a lot of different people and pools. So thank you for clarifying that. Yes, I'm absolutely, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Commissioner Stebbins, once we finish voting, I'll make some comments.
Okay. I would, unless there's any further discussion, I would seek a motion, and I would invite Commissioner Roy if she wanted to read the latest version of the motion.
Okay. Well, actually, if I could invite Acting General Counsel to reinsert that clause, and then I'll read the final motion language for us.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Of course, Acting General Counsel.
I believe, Commissioner Roy, that I have incorporated your edit in the most recent, which is prioritizing social equity program participants and economic empowerment applicants. Yes.
Too many drafts in the chat. Acting General Counsel. Thank you. Would you like me to read it, Chair Stebbins?
Of course.
Okay. Move to direct the licensing staff to assign expedited review, prioritizing social equity program participants and economic empowerment applications for previously approved provisional license applicants that responded to the Commission's September 23rd, 2024 email, who submit their provisional license payment and resubmit their application by December 3rd, 2024. If the license applicant complies with all of the requirements of 935 CMR 500 or 935 CMR 501, the Chief of Investigation Investigations and Enforcement shall issue a provisional license. The applicant shall not be responsible for another application fee. Commission staff shall provide notice to the Executive Office of Economic Development of the applicants who have responded to the September 23, 2024 commission email.
Here's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further conversations or discussion? Seeing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Camargo.
Aye.
Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Commissioner Stebbins, I vote aye. 3 in favor, none opposed. Thank you very much. Thanks to our team. Thanks to our acting general counsel for all of your work. And thanks to the entire team for, I know a lot of the collaboration that's been going on behind the scenes with commissioners. So thank you as we draw to a conclusion this outstanding issue. Commissioner Camargo.
Yes, thank you. I want to just ditto exactly what you said as the sponsoring commissioner who brought this to the forefront. And, you know, I thank you all for entertaining an extra meeting this month. And I'm glad that we can work collaboratively on this and with our team. Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins. Thank you, Commissioner Roy. I think when we collaborate, work together, think through stuff in order to find these pathways forward is when we shine at the commission. So I just want to thank you, and I hope that the industry takes full advantage of this. And I look forward to the follow-up from our team on who has participated from this block of folks that have, you know, responded back to us. So thank you, and I guess I'll see you guys at the next meeting or on Monday.
Monday. Commissioner Roy.
And thank you, Commissioner Camargo, for sponsoring this, and Chair Stebbins, and for this collaboration, and for all the staff for their work. And I'm going to take this opportunity as a friendly reminder, as I will at our October 10th meeting, to remind provisionally approved folks to pay your fee within 90 days. So I'm taking this opportunity as a friendly reminder, and I will do so in subsequent meetings. So, but this is hopefully, you know, this will be a one-time thing, and this is done. So, and folks need to know, once we provisionally approve you, you have 90 days to remit your payment.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy. Thank you, Commissioner Camargo. And I also agree. I appreciate the collaboration, not only among the three of us, but certainly working with our entire team to resolve this situation. And like I said, provide a path forward for these provisional applicants who were kind of caught in this predicament. I'm glad we're able to offer a path forward. And to your point, Commissioner Camargo, it's been looking into this issue. I was happy to look at, you know, documentation that goes out to every provisionally approved licensee after we vote on them in a public meeting. And that note goes out, and there's clear bolded statements saying, please pay within 90 days, or the regulations to apply, and essentially say that your license application is no longer valid. So I do want to thank my colleagues again, thank our team, and for thinking about this issue on Friday and bringing it to I know we've been thinking about it for a long time, but certainly happy to bring it to a resolution today, and we move forward onto the other challenges in front of us. Commissioner Camargo.
Mute.
Right. Thank you. Just really quickly, I just wanted to kind of like clarify, just for the record. I know I kind of did this mistake, but I intertwined applicants and licensees back and forth, and the pool of folks that we were talking about are actually applicants. So I just want to make sure that's clear, because I think we all kind of did a little mumbo jumbo there, but me personally, I know I did it, so I just wanted to clear that for the record. Applicants.
Thank you, Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Roy, anything else you want to add?
No, just thank you all, and I look forward to. I want to thank the licensing team in advance, because I'm sure now they're going to get a flurry of, resubmissions, we hope, but I want to thank them for advance for what they're going to have to tackle. And I just want to say I'm looking forward to Monday and getting public testimony from folks. It's so important, and it's critically important as we look at regulations. So I'm really looking forward to Monday hearing directly from folks.
Okay. Just a reminder, our next meeting is October 7th, 2024. We will be in person in Worcester, hearing testimony on the proposed regulatory changes to telehealth, microbusiness, and delivery courier and delivery operators. Our next public meeting after that will be October 10th. That is our regular monthly public meeting. We'll be back October 22nd to take the final steps in promulgating those regulatory changes. Hopefully the 22nd allows our legal team to look through all of the testimony provided and comments that we've had provided on and before October 7th. November 7th will be our listening session with the industry, primarily with our independent testing labs, but we certainly know their work impacts the supply chain for cultivators, product manufacturers, all the way through. That will be November 7th, and our next two monthly public meetings are November 14th and December 12th. So if there is no other business, I will, there certainly was no new business. The chair did not anticipate at time of posting. And if there's no other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I get off? I was gonna say, can I get off live? I've been on live forever. Sorry, go ahead. I'm like laying back in my seat, just chilling here, and I'm on live. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we're still
Commissioner
live.
Stebbins.
Thanks, Commissioner. Motion to adjourn made by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, will you second that?
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Commissioner Camargo.
Aye.
Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
And Commissioner Stebbins votes aye. 3 votes in favor, none opposed. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your work.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye, everybody. Nice job.